Project scope management. How will you manage the scope of a project in a predictive lifecycle project or an agile project? In this video, I'm going to explain you in detail everything like how do you manage the stakeholders working the scope, how are the changes managed in the scope, how are the deliverables managed in these different categories. One is predictive, one is agile. It is very important from the PMP exam perspective that you understand these differences. In the PMBOK 6th edition, you have got Agile being introduced. So at a very basic and high level, they will be asking you some questions. Watch this video till the end until you get these concepts clarified clearly. If you want to watch more videos on differences on different topics, let me know, put a comment, I'll kind of make a video on those topics for you. Let's get started. So the customer comes and gives us work. We need to execute this work and deliver it to the customer. Now, what is happening? You've got people. So these people, they want this work to be done in a very nice way. So how do we engage these stakeholders? That's very important, right? So in a predictive project, the stakeholder engagement on the scope is very high in the initial stages of the project. A lot of requirements are there, a lot of clarifications, a lot of defining the scope happens. All this happens and then all this kind of reduces down towards the closing of the project. Initiating, planning, executing, monitoring, closing. So the stakeholder engagement and the scope management is very high in the beginning of the project in a predictive project because you're not going to change the scope throughout the project. So in the beginning, you put everything clear and tell, okay, go ahead and do it like this. Okay, that's in predictive. What happens in agile project? For an agile project, the stakeholder involvement, okay, the stakeholder involvement is active and continuous throughout the project. How do you say this? Active and continuous because you have got sprint planning, you have got backlog grooming, you have got sprint demos, you have got retrospective. Every time you are engaging the customer, daily scrum with the customer, getting updates, meeting the product owners, right, getting input from them. So it is active and continuous. If you have 5 sprints, all the 5 sprints are interacting with the customer on the scope. You're just talking about the scope. Did we meet the sprint scope, product backlog, sprint backlog, product increment? All these things happens over here. Okay, so the stakeholder involvement on the scope management is continuous in an agile project. Next one. How about this? Collecting the requirements. Collecting the requirements, defining the scope and work breakdown structure. As I told, this is going to be like defined in the early start of the project. Okay, when the project starts, all these are kind of defined in a predictive project. Once this is defined and done and sealed, 100 features, 100 requirements, this is how it has to look, this is the duration, this is when we need it, it's done. You're not going to come back for that. Okay. So, for this one, in your collect requirements in your agile project, defined scope. So, this is like repeated for every iteration. For every iteration, you will ask what is the iteration backlog or sprint backlog. What is the details, what is the story details, what is the acceptance criteria, okay, what are the demos, how is it going to be accepted. So this is repeated for all the iterations. In every iterations, all these 4 things, okay, that is your collecting requirements, defining scope, creating WBS, okay, acceptance criteria, everything is repeated for every iteration in agile project. Now after that is done, let's talk about the deliverables. The deliverables of a project. Just pulling out that. That's it. Is it somewhere? No. Okay. The deliverables on a project. It's over here. Sorry. Okay. Defined in the beginning. In a predictive project, the deliverables are defined in the beginning. Okay. Get this clear. In an agile project, the deliverables are defined as a product backlog in the beginning of the sprint as a sprint backlog, and for every iteration it's being defined. Deliverables are defined for every iteration. Then after that, now how do you go and assess the work that's been done? Validating the scope. Okay, at the end of each phase the scope is validated. Okay, let's say in the phase 1 you have like 20 features. It's going to be validated at the end of each phase. Phase 1 can be at the end of like 3 months. The UAT will happen that time, the QA will happen that time. Okay, that's in the predictive. Whereas in your agile, the iterations are very short, so the validation happens after every iteration. The sprint demo, UAT can also happen after that immediately, right? So validating scope is mostly done with the customer. Okay, controlling scope our QA will do, but validation of the scope is done with the customer. At the end of each iteration, will come and see the demo and say, okay, it looks good. Okay, then after that, we've got control scope. Control scope is like done throughout the project in a predictive life cycle. Okay, in a predictive life cycle, the control scope is done throughout the project. Get this clear? Fine. How about this? As simple as that. In each iteration, controlling of the scope happens in each iteration. Like for this sprint, this is the velocity. These many story points I'm going to do. I'm not going to do more than this. That's how controlling the scope. Okay, only these 10 stories and velocity is like say 90 story points for the entire iteration. That's how you do it. And finally, how are the changes being processed? Change control. It is progressive and it uses perform integrated change control process. Okay, change control. A new change that comes in. Let's say, as I told you the other day, right? Uh, you've got a website. You've got a like button. Now people want a hard button. Okay, to be added, and it has to be compatible on all the platforms: mobile, tablet, Windows, Mac, everything. Okay, so for that, it's like a bigger change, right? So you have to go and ensure it's sync throughout these different places. So that will come out perform integrated change control. Change request will be raised. Okay, whereas in Agile, okay, so changes are like high level adaptation happens. So what happens is if that new hard button comes in over here, something has to go out. Getting it? If just like say 5 story point or a 5 day work or a 4 day work, I'll have to remove some other 4 day work and get that into this project because that's got more priority. So Agile is more about prioritizing what is the value for user, right? But again, at the same time, you see what can be done in this much time frame. Time is a constant, right? So that cannot be changed. And how much we can do in certain time that has to be done. Or are we going to increase the capacity? Then there's a different equation to that. So that's how you're going to manage those changes. So watch this video once again. If you have some more questions, put it down in the comment section. Or if you want to know differences of other things like say focus group meeting or a subject matter expert meeting, or you want to brainstorming to understand those tools and techniques, let me know. If you want to know difference in some project life cycle, let me know. If you want to know what's the difference between mitigation and risk or contingency, let me know. I can make some videos and put out for you. Thank you for watching my video. This is Arham Faraaz. Wish you best for your PMP examination. Do leave a comment, subscribe to my PMP channel. Have a nice day. Bye bye.